Turn up the volume, man. Welcome to the scene.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to A World Between. Today we are talking about see me, love me, pick me's. They want you to see them, they want you to love them, and they want you to pick them. I want to say I'm not a pick me, but we thought this would be a really interesting topic to talk about as it relates to relationships and who we are as women and men. I'm Ellen, attorney, professor, writer.
I'm Eileen, entrepreneur, HR professional, and artist.
And I'm Elise, entrepreneur and realtor, and this is A World Between.
Turn up the volume, man. Welcome to the scene where we talking about the streets and what's in between. Race, politics, devotion, and community. A world divided, but this positive unity.
So this topic to me is kind of like I don't really know a lot about pick me's, but I thought pick me was a positive thing because I used to go around saying I'm a pick me because someone that wants to get married and someone that's what I thought it was, someone who wants to be married and have a family and want to be a good wife. That's what I thought pick me was. So until you all said we gonna talk about pick me, I was well, pick me, you gotta be me. I said no. What is pick me?
At least
Well, I think the definition has definitely changed, but I would say that a pick me is someone who, yes, you're correct, wants to be chosen, but they'll do whatever it takes to be chosen, sometimes in very embarrassing ways to themselves. And how we came to this topic is because you may have seen the video of Tiffany Haddish floating around. What was the event she was at? Some kind of
She was at a fashion show. It's New York Fashion Week. And she was at a fashion show. You want me to talk about what happened?
yeah.
So it was Tiffany Haddish, Kathy, and her Hilton daughters. They were kind of egging her on, and they dared Tiffany Haddish to walk in the show that she was not a part of. And she stupidly took the bait and walked while everybody was laughing at her. And I was so mortified and embarrassed for her because she, and we saw a video of someone kind of using that, comparing her to a pick me. So I feel like Tiffany Haddish is at a crossroads in her career. She has had some difficulties, some allegations. She's having a difficult time finding work. So she needs to try and find somewhere to fit in. So she's in New York with the Hiltons. It's clear that she wants people to like her. And so she took the bait. And then that bait is costing her even more because now she's not even allowed. They said she won't be invited back to New York Fashion Week or any fashion week. And that's sad.
It's very sad.
Yeah. I was surprised because we saw a response video, I guess is what it's called.
Mhm.
And the person who was giving the response referred to her as a pick me. And I had never heard it in that context. And so I was like, wow, pick me can extend to who you are at work, who you are with your friends, who you are in a relationship. And unfortunately, in this situation, she was really trying to get to the point where I guess she wanted them to be her friends.
And right. And you have to kind of discern, why do you want that validation so
But
badly?
yeah, so I guess it may not even be a pick me. It is she's lacking something internally that she's looking for outside, validation. I don't even know if that's a pick me. I think it's more about she has always, I don't think she's funny. I think that she does things like what's the word, vulgar things to get attention. You know what I'm saying? I think she thinks that's funny because just because someone's laughing doesn't mean they're laughing. You know what I mean? I feel like she's doing it to keep her name relevant. And so I just want to know who idea of it to say, oh yeah, she's a pick me.
I mean, I think it kind of aligns with that. Like she is lacking and she's seeking it outside of herself. I think for me, I don't ever want to be considered a pick me. I don't want to seem desperate for someone else's validation. And I feel like that's what she's doing. You know, if we're going to just take a little bit further, pick me's are lacking in self esteem. Pick me get their validation and their self worth from a male attention. And I feel like sometimes women in relationships are pick me's in relationships too, in that a pick me is someone who will go out of their way to make sure that they have a man. You know what I mean?
So
Like,
Or
go ahead.
accepting anything.
Accepting anything just for the sake you're dark. I don't know why, Nikita. You, just pick any nothing's wrong. Black is great, but um
okay. Okay.
like, they will I feel like a pick me is somebody who will just take anything just to say that they are attached to a man. I feel like the same thing could be said by people in friendships, and I don't know about friendships. Maybe to be in an in crowd, we think about it, people will do anything. Sometimes we compromise ourselves, or people may compromise themselves and do things that they might not otherwise do in order to be in the good graces of other people. I think a pick me in the way that she's using it is someone who gets their validation from external things, their confidence from how people like them or don't like them. Does it make sense, Keita? At
It
least
does, but it just makes me think about other things. So if a man, and I know you didn't use the word man, but if someone wants to be selected, if they want that and they're working towards that, I don't know why is that a negative. Like it's negative when you are. It's about being desperate, or it's about lowering yourself, your self worth and self esteem. That's separate to me. I mean, what's I
how
think
is it separate?
so. In order, if you want to be someone wife and you want someone to select you to be that wife, and you do things such as cook for them, do things so you just give him an idea of what your wifely duties would be. Why is that a negative thing? Like I don't know why they all put it into one thing. Where if you want to be, a wife or you want to be selected, why is it? Why is it that way?
Because if
Yeah,
you're making it seem like you're in a competition or a contest and you got to be the better one, I'm the better. I pick me as someone who's like, I'm the better woman because, they are like, put all their pictures of their food. And I don't know this. I'm just saying so that men know, oh, she's a good cook. See, this is what they're not doing it because they enjoy cooking food and this is my food. It's like, oh, see what a good wife I can be. They're
yeah.
desperate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's an extreme situation. So it goes beyond like just cooking for the person. It might be like you literally, let's say for instance, you literally catch someone with another woman, and you like, oh, well, that's okay, he doesn't mean it, or you make excuses for the behavior.
Okay.
Hmm.
it's an it's an extreme. The difference is an extreme of behavior. So you may cook for someone so that they know that you want to be a wife or you have the qualities of a wife, but if he's cheating in your face, for instance, and you're excusing that behavior, then that's when it goes into the category of pick me.
Okay.
And
Okay.
also, I feel like a man is the one who does the choosing, right? It's his will, right?
Hmm.
He decides who he wants to be with. You
Married.
shouldn't have to work extra to ensure that that man picks you. You know, compromising. Like, I feel like a man should court a woman at some point. Always, you know what I'm saying? And if sometimes, you want to go Dutch, that's fine. I'm just going to keep it real. But I don't feel like I am going to always compromise. I want to feel like you really like me. You really want, you know what I'm saying? You got to spend your money on me and you're not counting pennies. I feel like a pick me would compromise. They would, be willing at the beginning and do more to ensure that that guy is with them. But I wouldn't. Yeah, does it make sense? No. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's a
I
yeah.
see.
I'm just saying, yes, this was a desperate woman. I
That's the
don't.
same. That's what a pick me is. A pick me is a desperate woman.
Hmm.
You don't think?
I mean, when you put it like that, then yeah, that's what desperation is, But I think there is something people look at women differently, especially in 2024, if that's their number one goal is to be a wife and to um show the man that yes, I'm worth selecting because and I think we have some women feel they need to do that because the marriage rate is so low. And I'm just being honest, there are a lot of men who feel like they like this one man was on this podcast and he said, I feel like I don't get anything in return. Like I bought my wife this beautiful home. I'm the one that busts my AWS every day at work, to go out there and he said, what did she do for me? She go, I gave you children. He goes, I appreciate that and I love you for that. But I'm saying he was trying to explain to her what he didn't get anything out of the marriage.
Nikita, but
I'm telling you what he
you
said. I
can't.
didn't say that.
I know, but I'm talking. I mean, that's the example that you're using. So I'm going to go with that example, right? So
Hmm.
you can't be somebody who says traditionally a man is supposed to provide for the wife, buy the house, provide for the family, and then turn around and be like, oh, well, he's not getting anything. And you can't have it both ways. So we're talking about not someone who's necessarily married. We're talking about someone who is always in competition with other women to get the attention of the man. It's not about necessarily being a wife. It is about being with a man and being in close proximity with a man in a romantic way, just to be in proximity with a man in a romantic way because it makes you feel good about yourself. You're willing to, and I think my therapist was talking about certain types of behaviors that illustrate low self-esteem. You're willing to compromise the things that you value. We talked about low value, high value. You're willing to compromise the things that you value in an attempt to attract a person. That is what a pick me is. That is what Tiffany Haddish is doing. She diminished her self-respect in
Right.
an attempt to please people who don't give a darn about her. We're not talking about high quality marriage material men that she's showing through her nice gesture. Oh, let me cook dinner for you. Of course, we all do that. We've all done that. You know what I mean? I do that because I care about you and I want to show you how I care about you through cooking, not to prove I'm worthy enough of you to pick me. Those are two different things, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I never, this is the first I've heard because I always thought it was a positive thing until you also
And I say
started.
that's like saying, "Oh, I'm a hoe," and that stands for wholesome. And I was like, "Oh no, that's
No,
not what
girl.
that means." So don't
Say
around.
no, no,
No, that's not what it picked me. And I
no, I
think
don't.
again, we're going to talk about like self awareness or self care. And let me just say this: even though I'm talking about pick me's, I think everyone at some point in their life, if they're being honest, has displayed pick me behavior. So I'm not going to say that I have not. I probably have in the past, not so not so
All
far past,
right.
but then I realized it has nothing to do with the man. It
Mhm.
has
Yeah.
everything to do with me and why I do that. There's
Yeah.
something lacking in me that wants to be picked by somebody I don't even really want to be with,
I was about to say, yeah, and yes, we as women find it very hard to be rejected by someone. And we may not necessarily really want this person, but we want them to want us. We that is and when they do, we're like, ooh, I don't think I like you like that anymore.
Yeah. I can't say that I've ever I can't say that I haven't, but all I can say is I don't remember ever doing having pick me behavior. Um, I do know that recently someone, accused me of being that, but my thing is that I've never I always felt like it was a person's choice whether or not they wanted to be my friend or whether or not they wanted to be in a relationship with me. And I feel like that's a decision that everybody has to make for their life. Maybe I'm not the person for your life. And so I've always been like, okay, well, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. Only to find out sometimes that people do that as a test. Like, I want to see if she's going to cry. No, I'm not.
Mhm.
No, I'm not going to cry. I'm going to say, all right, peace.
Hmm.
But and I cannot relate to Tiffany, but I know from when I was a child, this story I have to tell, but I was voted the ugliest girl in what, fourth grade or whatever. And even my friends voted for me. Like, I will never forget this day. It was an actual ballot with a box with my name on it. And they were like, Eileen, turn around. I'm like, huh, okay. And they go, yes, Eileen, hands down. So I won, and I was like, okay, I'm the ugliest girl. Okay. So for
Aw.
me, I had to find ways to get people to like me. And to do that, I had this purse had everything in it: gum,
Still
candy,
does. Still to
soda,
this day.
potato chips, anything you needed, I got it. So they would, kind of gravitate towards me because I had that. And so I still kind of carry that feeling of, I want to be selected. I want people to like me, but I don't go to the extreme where I lower my self-esteem, but I get it. And it probably spills over into my personal relationships too. So
And
yeah.
I think there are a lot of women who do that, right? And again, it starts from within. Um, and I don't ever want to be that way. I feel like we're all growing and evolving, but no, it's not attractive because in the end, I think about like, and you can like translate it to all kinds of things. I really wanted a skateboard when I was 13. Like I was like, I want a skateboard. My mom was like, you
Yeah, I
never
remember that. I remember
afford it.
that.
I know, but I want it. I want the skateboard. And my mom was like, okay,
Okay.
got me a skateboard. And what did I do?
You never used it.
I just wanted it to want it. You know what I'm
She
saying?
never got
I
on that
didn't
skateboard.
use skateboards. I was like, thanks.
It was
I
pretty too. They had
want that.
glitter.
Right. So I feel like again, I just wanted it because I saw it was cool. People on TV had it, and I'm like, oh, I want to skate. I really just wanted to walk with a skateboard once on my shoulder, and I did. But I'm saying it's not about the skateboard. It's about what it makes you feel, right? And
Right.
that's what pick me's do. And unfortunately, Tiffany Haddish is lacking in a
Yeah.
lot of self-esteem.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
no, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alice.
No, I was gonna say it's definitely a self-esteem issue. But then if you look at the interview that she did afterwards when she was talking to the designer, I think she also lacks self-awareness.
Yeah.
Right? Can you explain that? Because I didn't. I saw bits and pieces of it.
Right. So in the video, she's talking to one of the designers, and I want to, maybe it was a couple designers that she was talking to. And she was like, yeah, and I did that. And they were like, oh, that was just so funny. We can't believe you did it. And then she said, they were like, oh, it's so funny. Haha. She was like, I had a blast. And, hopefully I'll be able to do this next year. And the other one was like, no. And
Yeah.
she just and Tiffany just kept going, and she was like, and the guy kept saying, "Don't do that." So it wasn't even a matter the fact of someone dared her to do something. She didn't have enough wherewithal to say, "I'm not going to do that," because in the back of it, it's like these are designers. They've worked hard, so it's a level of disrespect that you're doing in order to get the attention from someone else. So she wasn't just disrespecting herself, she was respecting the
The
designers,
designers.
the
Yeah.
people who put on the show. I mean, the people who were participating. That's the extremes, the lengths to which a pick me would go to. But from that perspective, she still thought it was funny and fun, and she just didn't have anything that said, wow, maybe I shouldn't have done that, maybe I should have felt, bad about that. Because imagine if it was her show,
Right. That's
and
the first
somebody,
thing I thought. Yeah.
yeah, somebody decided to get up on stage. She didn't have anything within her to say, you know what, this is a professional show, I would feel bad about it. So I think to some degree, the pick me is also their mental state is overridden by the goal, and they don't care about anything else. It's just the goal.
Right. Yeah, I
It's
mean, if we're
absolutely.
gonna say that, then like you say, if we're gonna take the negative side of what a pick me is, what you all say it is, then
It's
yeah,
all
there
negative.
we go. What did you say?
It's all negative. There's nothing positive about being pick me. You said negative side as if there's a
I
positive.
mean, what I'm saying is, like, I didn't know it was something negative until you all brought this up. I didn't know, but what I'm saying is, if you are going to say that, then yes, like someone who's a pick me who only wants the attention of men, who only at any cost. But that's what if we're going to say that's a pick me, then you see all these women on Instagram are pick me's in, where they're exposing themselves for likes and stuff. They're exposing their bodies and jiggling and stuff for men,
But
But
they're
right?
what's
getting
their
money too,
motivation?
though, right?
Hmm?
I mean, not to sound, but they're getting money, aren't they? Are they doing it for?
Some of them,
Are they doing
not
it for the
all
men
of
or
them.
doing it for the money?
They're doing it for men because they get likes,
They need the men to make the money.
but they don't all make money. You have to be an Instagram model. I'm talking about on there are people who they get thousands of views. They get in views. That's it. So would they consider to pick me?
I think that's a good analogy because you could even just take it a step further and just say people on social media are just pick me. We want to be what they call that social media go viral. You want
Influencer.
people
Yeah.
to like you, that you want the likes or whatever. I don't care if I got one like. But again, I think that goes to a bigger part of society in general as relates to social media and how we use outside things for validation. It's no different than being addicted to food, right? You like food, it makes you feel good. Having the attention of a man makes you feel good. And I'll be honest, I see so many people who are unhappy because they're not partnered with a man. I don't see men highly upset that they aren't with a woman. I'm talking heterosexual relationships. Okay, I want to put that out there
Right.
just because. But I don't see men really upset if they're single, right? I see a lot of people who, at least daily or once a day, talks about God bringing them their other person, and they're not living their life, because I feel like everything happens in God's timing when it's supposed to happen. And of course, like my friend said, you gotta go out. I get that too. But I'm saying I feel bad when people's only measurement of success is whether or not they're partnered in a romantic relationship. And I feel like sometimes people compromise who they are and their values just for the sake of being with someone, and that someone isn't necessarily the end
Gonna
game person.
change them. But then on top of that, there's another side to this. Like there are reasons, like some women who are longing for someone, they're not necessarily longing for companionship. They're looking some are for someone to save them. Like they hate the situation that they're in. They may have financial, because you should never date when I feel like you should never date and look for someone when you're in a stressful situation, or if you are like about to be homeless, or from your you shouldn't be,
And
you know what I'm saying? You need, yeah, you shouldn't be looking
yeah.
to date because you're not looking for someone through that heart, that you're trying to connect with that heart. You're looking for someone because they want to save you. And I think that maybe that is what you see some people who are pick me's are. They're looking for someone that's going to come in, save them, spend money on them, do all this stuff, and they will do anything to get that.
But
Because
but but there are people, Tiffany Haddish is one of them, who have everything they need. What's the woman that her husband keeps cheating on her? Kirk is her
Rashida,
husband. Yeah,
Rashida,
yeah.
Love and
Like
Hip Hop Atlanta.
people would consider her a pick me because of all the things that she's willing to accept.
So she's been with that man. I feel like he groomed her. She's been with him since she was like 13 or 14 years old. He was dating, trying to date her when she was and their dates don't line up. She was like 13 or 14. So I mean, not saying that's an excuse that she doesn't know any better, but she's been with this man her almost her whole entire life. And so I don't know if I would say she's a pick me. I would say that she's someone
Okay.
that has been groomed
Hmm.
and doesn't know how to just walk away because he's been her everything since she was 14 or 15.
And she's
Yeah.
and if we're gonna kind of connect it to a pick me, because she's been with him since she was very, very young, she hasn't really developed her whole sense of self. Who she is as a
Right.
person has been completely connected to him. So she's not able to see, well, she can see that what he's doing is wrong, but she can't see herself without him because that's all she's known from a very, very young age, which is what groomers do anyway. That's part of the whole thing is to groom them into really kind of being kind of controlling.
Yeah.
Um,
But
right.
in Tiffany's situation, I think that good, bad, or indifferent, she will say that the trauma that she experienced throughout her life, that maybe she wants to prove to herself that she is worthy. She's worthy of having friendships with um, some of the wealthiest people in the world. She's worthy of, and she's in this place in her life. And instead of just being happy with where she is, it always seems like there's these marks in her career where she does something extreme. And it's like, girl, you were a breakout star from Girls Trip. You don't have to do anything extra. Just ride that wave. And then the next wave that comes up, Kevin Hart is, on your team. Ride that wave. But then I feel like she doesn't see the part that's good for her. She only sees what she doesn't have.
Right. And that's the part where when you're an adult and you keep doing, and Tiffany, unfortunately, has been doing the same thing over and over again. What's that?
Mhm.
My grandmother used to say, the definition of insanity is doing the same
Sanity.
thing over again, expecting different
This
results.
one. Yeah.
If she sees that somebody says she's intelligent, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. But if you see yourself constantly making wrong choices and you know why, it's not enough to know, because I think we all have all been through things in life that have made us who we are. It's not enough to know what your traumas are and how they affect you and not be willing to do the work. We talk about wellness, and part of the wellness aspect is having a mirror. I talk to my students all the time about self-reflection and introspection. You have to look within yourself and do the work, i.e., she needs some really serious, intensive therapy. And I'm not a therapist to say that, but you can look at Tiffany. We can look at and let's go back. Tamar Braxton. We were going to talk about her. She's in the news every 2 years because of traumatic relationships, and she's still a pick me. She's a pick me because her sense of self is wrapped into being connected romantically to a man. And I'm just gonna say this: I do watch reality TV and I read books too, but you can do both. Um, Anyone who would be on a show with men who purposely want to be on TV to meet a person, that would be a red flag. You know, you are being picked, yet you're still being a pick me. Meaning she's doing everything she can, and she married him and she gave him a gift after they supposedly broke up. Anybody who knows Tamar Braxton or the Braxton family, just follow social media, you'll kind of know what I'm talking about. So a pick me isn't necessarily unattractive. A pick me isn't necessarily poor. You can be rich and drop dead gorgeous and still be a pick me, because it does not matter. It is your inner. You're lacking something in self esteem.
And it never ends well. It never ends well.
Not until you do the work.
Yeah.
Tina, does that make sense now when we talk about a pick me?
Yeah, I mean, when you all put it in that perspective, then if that's the definition of a pick me, then yeah, nobody wants to be that.
But
But
it's
what I say, but as women who want to be selected or chosen to get married, that's something totally separate. So that's two totally separate things. We're talking about women who are in desperation, who will do anything for a man, not even have anything. But then there's this other side where there are women who will put their best foot forward to show this man that, hey, I that's two totally different things.
Okay, and I think we're gonna get to this point. I think the issue is when I'm listening to what you're saying, for me, is the idea that you are complete once a man has chosen you to be his wife. If you, because I, even on reality shows or whatever, I've heard somebody said to me, "You'll never get married." An ex-boyfriend. I was like, okay, and that didn't hurt. That didn't hurt me like I thought. Like he thought it would hurt me because he didn't really know me. Like he thought he knew me, but that didn't hurt my feelings. But the idea that you are not worthy or a whole woman unless someone has chosen you to be as well. I think that's part of the whole idea of what you're saying when you're saying someone's pick me. Because when you think about romance and love, it should be a mutual thing. You love me, I love you. We want to spend our lives together. We want to build together. It's not me proving that I'm worthy, that this man has picked me. So I am worthy because he thinks I'm good enough to be a wife.
No, I see what you're saying. No, I'm not saying that. You should be worthy, married or not. And that's the thing. Like you have to be complete already when you can't be looking for someone to fill, because that's not a
Yeah.
man's job.
Right.
You can't be looking for someone to fill you up. That's not what a husband or even a wife can't be filling up you all come together as one, as a whole, and you make that. So no, I don't think that that's at all what I'm saying. I'm saying there's a negative thing in 2024 for a woman that says, I want to be selected as someone's wife. That's all I'm
and I
saying.
and I
Maybe
think
it's
what you're saying is, what do we call someone
Hmm.
who just, I'm taking my normal energy and saying I'm gonna do all the things that I know that a man likes. What do we call that person versus calling someone else who is going to be an extreme,
Right.
situation? And I
maybe
don't think
it's
that it has to have. I don't think it has to have a label. That's just a woman who wants to be married.
and maybe so
Versus,
the word is select. The way you're using the word selected is what is bothering me. Let me look up the word selected, because couldn't it just be that I am going to be someone's wife, or we decide
Someone
that
has
we're
to
going to
pick
be
you though. Someone has to select me. I can't just go out and say unless I'm proposing to them.
select
yeah,
or
but
propose. I
select
don't know if I
some,
want to get
but
semantics.
select sometimes gives the connotation that there are options, and in order for
That's the
someone to
word.
be picked, there has to be multiple options, and in order for you to rise to the top, you have to put yourself in a position where you are the better option.
And that's the
Uh,
definition of
But
select
we
is
do
the
that with
verb
men all the
carefully
time.
choose. This is a definition of select verb carefully choose as being the best or most suitable.
We do that
So
for
the
men
word
all the time.
select,
I
huh?
don't.
I I'm gonna try to select the best option for me in my situation. I
But you're
mean,
talking about
Yeah,
for
that's
you,
that's making a
for
choice
you. It's a
versus.
choice for you as it relates to what you want, not saying that this person is better than that person. And we do that when we're talking. That's what you do that when you're dating people, right? You know what I'm saying? You decide who you mesh with, who goes with you. I was going to
but
go with you well. You know what I
right,
mean?
but yes,
But
but yes, okay. At least I get what you're saying that we're really there isn't a name. But I won't. I guess some people have a issue with the word select, but I'm saying there's nothing wrong with a woman who wants to be She wants to find a person that's right for her,
That
and
makes
these
sense. There's
other.
nothing wrong with that. But there is, right, it's the whole idea that he needs to pick me because I'm better than all of them. You know?
But there's certain. Okay, but there's certain things that men are looking for when they are selecting, when they're no, when they're finding a wife. There's certain things, and you need to know how to do those things. You know what I'm saying? That you
Yeah.
got
Well,
a point.
finding it, it's finding is cool. Selecting is different.
Yeah, and I think to add a little more context to the conversation around, 'cause it's really a mindset. It's not like what you do, it's the mindset. So to go further into the video of the woman that was giving her opinion, she made a comparison between if Beyonce was sitting there versus if Tiffany was sitting there. So, and she said that Cat, is her name Kathy Hilton,
Mm-hmm.
would have never
Never.
thought to make that kind of suggestion to Beyonce, because the her impression, and that's like telling, her impression of Tiffany is weakness.
Yes,
um
I agree with
and
that.
she would, you know, she's different than Beyonce because Beyonce is very sure of herself. She's very professional, she's very intentional and everything. And unfortunately, Tiffany does not ever portray herself as being that. She does portray herself as being with the going with the wind, but you know, this could be, if we talk about it in the context of a mindset, you know, this could be, you know, for anything. Like when someone looks at me, I don't want them to be like, she's weak enough to manipulate. And I think
Mhm.
that's what makes the pick me even more dangerous, is
For
because
themselves.
their mindset can be manipulated. They don't control their own way. They have no self-awareness. They
And going back to our first episode when we were talking about Cam Newton and Dr. Bryant, she said to him, "You are picking women who are," she didn't say low functioning, but she said women who would be okay with him having 8 kids with 3 different women. You know, he knew who to get with and who he could do that with, right? And I think, like Elise was saying, a pick me, you definitely come across as someone who can be easily manipulated. And you talked about that. Don't you watch Life After Lockup? A
I
lot of
do.
reality. And you
I
said that.
do.
What did you say about the men on those shows? Are those
Oh
women pick
yeah,
me's?
yeah. Well, I don't. I think they're. I wouldn't use the word pick me. I think they are definitely women who are easily manipulated and who on the outside are not finding any relationship that they're not finding a relationship. So they
Where
say
are they finding relationships with whom?
people in prison.
So the prisoners, no offense to prisoners, it's not the justice system. The prisoners are picking them.
Hmm. So
Are they
they'll pick
picking
me.
them?
Yeah,
Hmm?
they're
Are
picking
they?
them.
I'm sorry, are
Hmm.
they selecting them?
They are
How
selecting
is
them.
are they the best of the best for them?
Yeah, they are because they're the ones that putting money on their books. They're the ones that
So
yeah.
they are pick me's,
So they're pick me's. So that's
meaning
what
the
you're saying
women
that
who are,
I
huh?
I
Eileen,
just
would you
call them
say I don't
desperate
watch
women.
it, but she does.
Yeah, I don't watch either of those shows, but I think you got to be something to be to be trying to get with a man that can't offer you nothing. I
Nothing.
mean,
And
he in jail. He can't do
right. He
nothing.
can't do anything. And that's why some men are like, okay, they used to be waiting faithfully for these men in prison. But
Right.
they do huh?
I said right.
But that's
So
the
yeah,
Nothing.
ultimate
some
pick
things
me. To me, though, they're the ultimate pick me's because they're getting whatever they can get just to say that they got a man. And they are so proud. I mean, from the clips, because I don't watch it either, but I'll just walk in the room when you watching it, heated up. They are so happy and so proud. And this is their man, my man, my man, my man. I just wanted to say that at some point
but then but
in
then
this
but let me
episode.
tell you this though. They are, yeah, but as soon as they get out, they not picking them. They picking somebody else. So
But
That's why I
that's
say
not
it
the
never
point. The
ends
point is
well.
we said a pick me is somebody who compromises, who does whatever they can to get that man. Those women are putting money on the books. They'll ride or die. They're gonna do that. One lady, I guess I did watch it only by proximity, but she had her
Don't
own
be embarrassed.
lucrative tax business, and she wanted to bring in her boyfriend who had just gotten out of prison, who has a record, and her lawyer was like, "No, ma'am, you cannot do that. You can't. It's against the law." She's like, "It's not like it's against the law." He's like, "It is actually."
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah. Moral turpitude.
beautiful, smart, intelligent, willing to
But
do this for
yes.
this man so that he could pick her.
But then, yes, but there's a whole nother separate show. But there's a woman, there are women on there. They say, "Well, I like the bad boys." That's what they say. I like and I'm like, are we really saying
But
this? Are we?
it's Nikita, it's
Hmm?
deeper than that. It's
Yeah, I
because
know.
they've got, and we all find out something has happened to them. There is something that has made them think that being a prisoner's girlfriend is good for them. It makes them feel good about themselves. So they got to work. It's the same thing. We've gotten different scenarios from Tiffany Haddish to the people putting money on the books for a man to Tamar Braxton. What it boils down to is when we talk about a pick me is someone who's lacking something within themselves. And sometimes it's just easier to focus on. It's so different, I think, than like having a food addiction or, you know what I'm saying? It's what makes you feel good. And having a man in any capacity for some women makes them feel good and worthy. And that's sad.
It's very sad.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because I said earlier that I had never heard that word in that context, because even if you're talking about like the workplace, there are some people who are willing to do whatever to get that next promotion, to get that manager to, and it never ends well. Those are the people you see in the workplace, and they're there for 15 years and never been promoted, never, made more than a minimal amount of increase in salary, and they're still doing whatever, acting as if their situation is going to change, and it never does. And they're working they working 18 hours a day. They coming in on the weekend, they picking up the slack when people are on vacation or maternity leave. They're always available. And I think it's just really a mindset that never results in what they want.
I agree with that. I might have been a pick me in my old job when I was going in 3 o'clock in the morning. I was a pick me
You
then.
were.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know it, but now I know.
Going at 3 o'clock, I was like, even on the day that they let you go, she wanted to go in. I was like, girl, no, don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy.
You learn. Okay.
Yeah.
But, this has been an enlightening conversation, ladies. Very, very enlightening. So, is there
You
anything else
guys,
you?
thank you so much for staying with us. Don't forget to join our Facebook group, like and subscribe, and actually share this podcast. We're gonna go from this to talking about reinventing yourself. So you're pick me, and you decide you don't want to pick me no more. How are you gonna do that? What are the ways to reinvent yourselves? All right, bye.
Bye.
Son up, volume, man. Welcome to the scene where we talking about the streets and what's in between. Race, politics, the culture, and community. A world divided, but this pies the unity. Entertainment trends.